Today in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Caru News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Organ Donation India Foundation, Gyan and Indo-Gulf Management Association. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. But before I would like to go to our main topic, I would like to inform you that today the country is celebrating Vasant Panchami. Vasant Panchami is also called Saraswati Puja, is a festival that marks the preparation for the arrival of spring. Vasant Panchami also marks the start of preparation for Holika and Holi, which take place 40 days after later. Vasant Panchami marked at a time when bright yellow flowers of the ripe mustard plants dominate rural India. Surprisingly, several spring flowers are yellow across the world, including the daffodils, marigold or ganda, shioli or night jasmine, and yellow lilies are among the many yellow spring flowers in India. This is the main reason of yellow being the dominant color of Basant Panchami, and as the name suggests, Basant refers to the spring season. As per Hindu mythology, Saraswati is the goddess of wisdom, intellect, and learning. Saraswati has 4 arms representing the 4 aspects of human personality in learning, the mind, intellect, alertness, and ego. She holds in her hands a book, prose, a rosary of crystal beads, poetry, and a veena, music. Her final hand holds a pot of sacred water, which represents the purity of these 3 arts and their power to purify human thought. She is often pictured seated on a lotus or a peacock wearing a white dress. Yellow color holds a special meaning on this festival. It signifies the brilliance of nature and the vibrancy of life. People on this day dress in yellow and offer yellow flowers and bhog prasad to the goddesses. Media conference with Lal Goel wishes that everyone be bestowed with knowledge and wisdom on this auspicious day. Now coming to our main topic, and that is analysis of Union Budget 2022. A government budget is a document prepared by the government presenting its anticipated tax revenues like inheritance tax, income tax, corporation tax, import tax, etc., and proposed spending or expenditure on healthcare, education, defense, roads, state benefits, etc., for the coming financial year. In most parliamentary systems, the budget is presented to the lower house of the legislature and often requires approval of the legislature. Through this budget, the government implements economic policy and realizes its program priorities. Once the budget is approved, the use of funds from individual chapters is in the hands of government, ministries, and other institutions. The practice of presenting budgets and fiscal policy to Parliament was initiated by Sir Robert Walpole in his position as Chancellor of the Exchequer in an attempt to restore the confidence of the public after the chaos unleashed by the collapse of the South Sea bubble in 1720. The Union Budget of India, also referred to as the Annual Financial Statement in Article 112 of the Constitution of India, is the annual budget of the Republic of India. The government presents it on the first day of February so that it could be materialized before the beginning of new financial year in April. Since 1947, there have been a total of 74 annual budgets, 14 interim budgets, and 4 special budgets or mini budgets. The first Union Budget of Independent India was presented by Mr. 𝐂𝐀𝐑𝐔 on 26 November 1947. And to analyze this year budget, we have a very elite, knowledgeable experts in the field. Panelists are with us, and I would like to invite and introduce my first panelist guest, and he's Professor Mohanlal Agrawal. Professor Agrawal is the former Professor of Marketing, Innovation and Management, IIM Lucknow, XLRI Jamshedpur, and California State University, USA. He is President of Indo-Gulf Management Association. He is US Fulbright Fellow Boston, EFMD Fellow Paris, and British Council Fellow London. In 2019, he was ranked among the 251 most fabulous global education leaders. Welcome, Professor Mohanlal Agarwal on our show. Professor Mohanlal Agarwal, as you know, that our Finance Minister has presented the Union Budget 2022 on 1st of February 2022. Now, we would like to know your analysis of Union Budget 2022. Professor Mohanlal Agarwal, please. Please unmute.
Thank you, Goel Saab, for giving such a wonderful introduction of a cultural thing called Vasant Panchami. What a wonderful treat it will be for those who do not know anything or at least getting to know about it. So I also greet you, your family, and your viewers on this bright day of the year. The spring means happiness, spring means brightness, and usually it has a bigger meaning in India as well as globally, because it also shows the perhaps the onset of summer. In winter, I would say centric west, where the mentality, the lifestyle all get very cramped because of icing, snowing, winter, bad, everything, where outing becomes very hard. And Vasant Panchami, or this particular thing you could say, is a kind of a signal that we are going into the brighter days, happier days, outer days, rather than indoor days, it will become outdoor days. As far as the budget is concerned, I am again very happy that you have provided the background of how the budget is, where it is, and how it is, and whether the dates of this particular budget has been revised. Earlier it was on the end of February. Now it is in the beginning of February. I wish, however, that this finance minister or our bold prime minister would have shown another boldness, and that another boldness should have been in terms of scheduling the budget. I very, very strongly feel that the budget should be somewhere, I would say, presented in the first week of November. And the financial year and calendar year confusion must also go. Because now that we are moving into a global world, in a global world, 2 years at the same time do not make sense. Like 2022 to 2023 or 20232. It is like unnecessary confusion. If you're going towards the reform, then why not make it along with the calendar year also? Make it a kind of a interim budget for this year, let's say for 9 months instead of 12 months, make it 9 months up to December, and then present another budget somewhere in November, which will coincide with the entire thing, like calendar year. So this confusion that whether it was in 22 or 21 or which one we are talking about, all that particularly thing is avoidable. And I wish someday this message through you or through your channel is also accepted by the government, that yeah, when other countries have made this weekend as a global weekend for the entire world, even though there were very big religious sentiments around them about Friday, then clearly we are seeing that there is a logic, even from operational reasons, to make it coincide with the calendar year. So this is the first point I wanted to make about the budget, that let there be a reform in terms of presenting the budget itself, rather than just making it complicated, that February, January, March, like that. And especially when we are talking about the digital age, in a digital age, the date matters a lot. The date creates its own convenience. So therefore, there are many reasons, and I would just stop it there by saying that I think government should consider it, this bold reform of making it. Why we should carry the things which UK had brought to us in a very, very time span, in a very, very time zone. Now coming back to this particular budget, you have been seeing for the last 8 days since, or maybe 6 days since it has been presented. The analysts are talking about it, mutual funds are talking about it, market is talking about it. Market somewhere is celebrating, somewhere is cautious, somewhere it is also very, very hopeful that that. So somewhere we have this tendency of seeing things as black and white. So what is black? Let me go to an analogy, which I have been, a student of this mythology. So maybe I can talk about two mythologies here at the same time. And one mythology is of Greek mythology. And that Greek mythology says that there is something called a Hydra-headed monster. Hydra-headed monster is a Greek monster. Obviously, it is more in imagination and recollection and things, where they say that this a waterborne monster has several heads, and one of them is very deadly head, which is almost like indestructible, almost immortal. So, if I have to connect that with the budget, then we will say that the bad effects of the budget will continue for a long time. They will not just go for 1 year, but they will continue for a long time, like a hydra-headed monster, that which has got some very, very terrible things. The other school of thought, again, I'm sure that it will be a music to your ears since you come from that particular place, and that is called Mathura, where we had multiple avatars, multiple reincarnations of Krishna, Lord Krishna, in which Lord Krishna was seen in several incarnations, and each and every reincarnation was pointing out to certain deed, certain mission, certain way in which they were going out. Again, connecting it to Indian budget of 2022, I would say many people have considered it as if that everything is great in this particular budget, and it is more like the multiple avatars of Lord Krishna. The truth is that it is neither a hydra-headed monster nor it is multiple avatars of Krishna. Again, if I have to give an analogy and some kind of way to remember, I will say that it is like curate's egg, in which many things are good and few things are bad. So what we do always in a curate's egg is that we take it as if as it is. We don't throw the egg the way it is. We take the good things and try to improve the bad things. Sometimes even you confront the bad things because they are not allowing that good things to become great. So again, here it's a curate egg. And this is where I will stop as far as analyzing the budget through the similes are concerned. So my analogy is that this is a curate's egg. Now let's see what are the great things about it. Sometimes the absence of bad news is a good news. The absence of bad news is a good news. And that bad news usually is changes in the income tax slabs, income tax structure, income tax rates. So therefore, many people become very apprehensive that, oh God, next year I will have to pay more, because government expenses are going on, and also because government's expenditure on development is going on. And we all as citizens contribute to both governance expenses as well as development expenses. Fortunately, Mrs. Sitaraman has not done any of it. She kept exactly the way it is, no change. It also provides stability. It also provides predictability, so that people can make some kind of things that they would like to say for the next year. So this was another thing that I would like to say as a part of the curate's egg as far as the budget is concerned. Then the second good thing is that she has also provided specific suggestions as well as solutions for specific segments. Of course, each and every person will look at it from his or her own viewpoint. So if an industrialist analyzes it, he will analyze it from industry point of view. If the person from the social organization, then they will talk from social organization. If there are certain liberalists, then they will say, where is the structural reform and this and that? So all those things will be talked about. If you ask the housewife, she will say, what the hell do I do with this budget? My inflation is going on. And because of this inflation, my things are going, and my salary is not increasing at the rate of 6% or 7%, which is the headline rate of inflation in India, 5.72%. So therefore, I would say that there are certain things which can be said good as well as bad from the hat you are wearing. That particular hat could be of industrialist or housewife, or it could be retired person or young salaried person or startups. So many segments are there which are stakeholders. But if we look into the macro picture, overall picture, which affects everyone, there are some wonderful things. For instance, it's wonderful to say that she has kept 8.5% as the growth rate for India. Many people doubt that figure. Already many other houses, those who analyze, they have said, no, it's likely to be 7.8 or 7.9. One organization has said, I don't think it will be more than 7.5. Let's leave it at that, because the government should not give a pessimistic figure and should give somewhere inspiring figures. I wouldn't say something which is blatantly wrong or something which is, lie as a kind of good thing, because too much good thing is also a lie. The same way as too bad thing is also a lie. So therefore, I think I would say probably that India will grow somewhere around 8% plus minus 0.5%, plus minus 0.5%, which is very good because it is higher than the inflation rate. So in terms of real, income, in terms of real inflation, and it is going to be very good, because any country which has a growth rate is which is less than the inflation or matching inflation, then there is a problem. Then this inflation rate I mentioned, that it is somewhere going to be about 5.5, or maybe more. I don't know what is the impact of digital e-rupee, which has been introduced this time as a new concept, because digital e-rupee will also improve or increase or bring more currency in the market. And why simple law is of inflation definition is that when too much money is chasing too few goods is inflation. So if we add this e-rupee into this, then obviously we are talking about more supply of currency, and plus supply chain problem we are seeing already. I'm sure my good friend Ritesh will talk about more later that how retail sector is suffering because of global supply chain disruptions and because of sometimes very big increase because of the commodity prices going up. So even the margins of the retailers are going under pressure. So given all that particular thing, I think she has done pretty well by setting the target, and which will also put India among the top nations in the world, which is growing in spite of this global pandemic that we know. So this is another thing that I thought I would like to talk. If we look into from some, I would say, unemployment point of view, unemployment by the way is increasing. January was the lowest unemployment rate in India. And obviously, we are talking about unemployment of both rural and urban. We are also talking about women and men. And we are also looking for those people who are actively looking for job and those who are not actively looking for a job. So therefore, passive seekers of job like housewives, like some people who are looking just for job because they can take it if it is there. But if it is not there, they don't mind. So this is the thing I am trying to mention, that there is active as well as passive. Again, in the case of both, though the number is big, we are talking about almost 10 million or 11 million people who are looking for employment or unemployment. But then again, the issue another is why many of the jobs are going a begging. Why there is no, they are getting jobs. So while jobs are there, people are looking for employment. And if both the things do not match, then there is a problem of seeing whether we are creating employable people or we are creating just people who have a degree. So this is another point which we need to ponder over when we talk or criticize the government for not creating enough employment. I think employment is there, but is there someone taker for that? And again, I will go back to Ritesh. Probably he will talk a little bit more that how this particular gap creates problems for the companies. That you have jobs, but you don't have right people to have the job. Nobody wants a liability. People want put assets or potential assets, but they don't want someone who just is there as a person. Then another thing very important from the point of view is that this long-term capital gain thing has been fully settled, capping at 15%. Whichever is the thing, no doubt you do that, and then 15%, and that graded thing has, so it becomes again a predictable equity stuff of that kind. Another problem which was there for a very long time, and we were not able to get any policy. We still do not have any policy, but at least it begins the policy conversation, and which is about the cryptocurrencies or digital currencies. The very fact that the government is saying, never mind, whatever you do, 30% tax from any benefit or profit that you have made on cryptocurrency, that will be payable. Without doubt, that according to me is the beginning of the conversation. As the chairman of CBDT very correctly said, that it is not providing any legal entity to cryptocurrencies. It is only saying, okay, let's begin the conversation, and with this particular, and then it is almost like you could say state lotteries. From that point of view, it has become like that. Like in the case of the lottery, there are restrictions in terms of set off, in terms of carrying forward the losses, in terms of expenses. The same way I think crypto thing has also been it. But again, I remind you, this will happen as a good policy, probably next year or probably year after, because world is going digital. So there is no way that we can escape a discussion, honest discussion, about it. Similarly, there are many other things, but one thing, and then I will close because I know there are other speakers. They would also like to mention what they would like to. This is about development, outlay, like infrastructure development. I believe that that is the best part of the budget today, that it is creating growth not through subsidies, not through dole outs, but through honest investment into roads, transportation, bridges, anything which provides, what is known as multiplier. So that particular multiplier effect investment is the best part of this particular budget. And I think this is exactly the thing, because any budget must enable people to work better, to do business better, rather than, hey, here is this soap, here is that soap. That kind of soaps should be stopped, because this is not the thing. Hopefully, this will also create some kind of a discussion about the privatization or disinvestment, and hopefully this will also become a way, because I always believed, and I still believe, that the government is the worst industrialist or the worst businessman in the world. And a servant, thoroughly with the mindset of a servant, cannot be an entrepreneur, cannot be a businessman. Whatever you may say about, they can provide initial push because they have got big money, but otherwise it's a bad and sad to have people in the government, in the business, because they can just not do the business well, and people won't trust. So to conclude, your viewers may remember that I had given 5 E's of the budget in my last discussion. And in those things, I will come back again. That the first E that I had talked about was equity. And in that particular equity, if I have to rate the budget, I will perhaps give it around 7 out of 10. Why? Because Manrega budget has been slashed. Of course, it is bigger than the pre-COVID, but still it is lesser than last year. Efficiency, I definitely believe that the government is going towards efficiency and effectiveness. So probably I'll give 8 marks to that. In terms of employment, I will put it as 5 to 6. because there is no, I was hoping that urban poor will also be brought into Manrega so that, at least those active seekers can get some work for that. So I will put a little bit less on this thing. Empathy, I would say average about 5 to 6, because there are still many segments which required direct intervention by the government. And one of them was small retailers and small shopkeepers. All that, while the government has given big idea on startups, but it hasn't been very, very big in terms of small and micro enterprises. So I'll put it that way in empathy. And in terms of employability, well, I think, as an educationist, I believe that government should have done much, much more than just increasing the channels of e-Vidya to 200 from the ones that he have. But it has to do something more, because, internet connectivity and all that is a major issue. And therefore, saying that there is a channel available, but not having internet connectivity will be a major issue. So thank you very much, Mr. Goel, for allowing me this opportunity to, I have just taken a little bit more time on behalf of the speaker who is not present today. So hope you will.
Thank you very much, Professor Mohanlal Agrawal. And Professor Mohanlal Agrawal has given his analysis of the Union Budget 2022. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she is Dr. Priya Solomon. Dr. Priya Solomon is CFA, is the Faculty of Management Studies at Amity University, Noida. She has more than 25 years of experience in academics and related administrative work. She completed her doctorate degree from the Allahabad University. She possesses a flair and passion for working on accreditations processes and has actively worked on designing of management curriculum as well as e-content development. She is involved in the outcome planning and implementation process since 2014. She has publications in journals of repute, including ABDC journals, and is a reviewer of international Scopus indexed research journals. She is guiding and supervising research scholars in the field of management, finance area for the PhD thesis, writing and award of degree. She has been invited as keynote speaker and session chair at the international conferences by management institutions of repute. She has also conducted various faculty development programs. She has patents in the field of management and finance. Welcome, Dr. Priya Solomon on our show. Dr. Priya Solomon, you have heard what Professor Mohan Agrawal has mentioned. And so we would like to know now your views on the analysis of Union Budget 2022. Dr. Priya Solomon, please.
Thank you, sir, for inviting me, and I thank my mentor.
Dr. Solomon, if you just adjust yourself, your face is going up. Just still,
thank you so much.
No, still your face is cut because it's a live telecast. You have to adjust. Now, if you are sitting like this, then it is fine. But if you come closer, then your head will cut. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for inviting me, and I thank also Mohanlal ji. And he's my senior at my university from where I studied. We both are alumnus of the same university, and it's my pleasure to be here for this occasion and to speak on such a thought-provoking topic such as analysis of the budget 21-22 has gone and 22-23 is here. So now we are focusing on the budget, and I would like to start off with that this budget has its focus on the long-term growth, and it has somewhat, missed the bus on certain points. And I would like to draw the attention of the viewers here on those parts. Now we are on that Amrit Kal, that is a critical period that is the next 25 years, which are very, very crucial for India to move it from the 75th year to the 100th year of India. And the prime focus of the budget has been on the PM Gati Shakti and on the 7 pillars of it. And therefore, the capital expenditure has shown a budgetary increase from 35.4% from 5.54 lakh crores in the last year to 7.5 lakh crores. And this has partly ignored the crucial point of fiscal consolidation. And therefore, we see that there has been no revision of the tax slabs, no upward revision of the standard deduction, and there has been a slight miss on the demand side of propelling the growth. The supply side has been well addressed to a large extent in this budget. And if we look at the taxpayer, the salaried people, the retail segment, these segments have not been, have not got what they expected from the budget. So in a way, we can say that the demand side has not been focused by this budget. Now we look at the some of the good points of this budget, as Mohan Lalji said that there are many good things also in this budget, and those good things are basically the introduction of the digital currency in the financial year 2022, the stress on building up of the strong infrastructure, 5G spectrum in the telecom sector would be given priority. Then if we look at the post offices, they will be drawn into the core banking system. So bringing them into the core banking system, those 1.5 lakh post offices would definitely benefit all small saving schemes and digitally make them available to all the retail investors. These schemes are very popular. The post office holds the confidence and the trust of all citizens of India, and to bring it into the core banking system where you can do your banking operations from anywhere, anytime, that is wonderful. Even allowing access to your ATMs into your post office saving accounts, that is very good. But then we think, when we think of the technology and the existing system, we also have, this also comes to mind that why was it not done in the previous years, right? Then if we talk of the education system, the Honorable Finance Minister has said that the government is thinking of having a digital university set up. That's a good initiative. But then the problem is, as the previous panelist said, connectivity is the issue in rural areas. So that needs to be addressed first. No doubt, the hub-spoke model on which the university will be made is a fantastic idea, and contributions by public universities would be great, and the content would be great, and if it is reached to even the learner in the rural part of a country, that would be a great step ahead in providing literacy at your doorsteps, and that too anywhere, anytime. Now, if we look at some of the other good points, then we see that though the subsidies, kerosene subsidies have been withdrawn, the LPG subsidy would continue. Then an opportunity, a window has been provided to the taxpayers that they can correct their errors and can file an updated return. And this window is available for them for 2 years from the end of the relevant assessment year, though it is at a cost. They have to pay an extra additional tax at the rate of 25% of tax plus interest if you file those revised returns within 12 months. And then further, the cost goes up. Additional tax rate goes up to 50% if you file it after 1 year. That is the second year in which this window is open. Now, another good point is that the state government employees who are covered under NPS Tier 1 scheme, their tax deduction limit has been raised to 14% from 10%, bringing them at par with the central government employees. But the question here is, what about the private employees in private companies? A thought should be given to them also, and they should be brought also under this scheme. For them, it is not mandatory, it is voluntary. So it would have been great if those people would have also been brought under this exemption limit. Then another good point was that tax standard deductions and tax exemptions which were allowed as per prevailing tax rules, income tax rules, towards the premium paid towards life insurance products and annuity plans for disabled dependents, those were allowed only on those schemes which benefited the disabled person upon the caretaker's death. Now, it is not upon the caretaker's death, but upon the caretaker assuming the age of 60. So this will help to ease the tax burden of parents and guardians of the differently abled dependents. Crypto has been a virtual digital asset, much in news. The generation Z is very, very prone to investing in them. And because of the growing popularity in investments, the finance minister has noted this and has brought it to the table that these should also be taxed, and the gains from these digital asset transfers should be taxed at a steep rate of 30%. Everybody was expecting that it would be also having a long-term capital gain tax of 15%, but as it is still the legitimacy of this digital asset is a question mark, and government regulations have still to come in for that. So at present, this crypto would be having a tax rate of 30%, whereas there has been a good news that all the capital gains, long-term capital gains rate has come down for even the non-listed equity to 15% as for the equity that is listed. Then, as I said, we will have to wait and watch for the effects of the digital currency being introduced by the RBI in the financial year 22-23, and this will be called the central bank digital currency, and this would have its own repercussions, but we hope to see that this will reduce the dependency on cash, it will have lower transaction costs being digital, and it will also reduce the settlement cost in our payments. Now, there much has been done for the MSMEs, and certain schemes, the eligibility criteria for emergency credit guarantee schemes are in place, and even the exemptions for the manufacturing sectors, for the new manufacturing units, has been extended till March 2023. But if we look at the taxpayers and the investors, much has not come in from this budget. And as far as the gold market is concerned, the Indian gold market, the gold prices are not in tandem with the international gold prices because of the high customs duty, and this need to be relooked maybe somewhere during this ensuing budget, after the budget, the financial year as it unfolds. And it's a very good thing that this time we have the one station, one product concept being mooted in the budget itself to help local businesses and supply chains, and to even ease the travelers from distress and long queues and long waiting time to get their booking done. The government has thought of introducing and manufacturing 400 new generation Vande Mataram trains, and then they have also thought of developing Gati Shakti cargo terminals to ease the transportation and logistic problems, so that the supply chains are not affected much especially during the pandemics and turbulent times. Then in the agriculture sector, waivers are, the waivers of loan waivers at the time of, and sometimes loan waivers are so heavy on the government expenditures, and they bring about a cut in the capital expenditure, which has a long term effect. So instead of long loan waivers, I personally feel that we should go in for support schemes for the small farmers right from the beginning, right from the time when they sow and plow their fields. And in this direction, I would like to draw your attention on the use of Kisan drones, which will be promoted for crop assessment, digitalization of land records, spraying of insecticides and nutrients. This is an important step, because instead of going for a curative or a preventive, right, when there has been a heavy debt on the farmers and then giving them a loan waiver, we should be proactive and start working with the farmers and for the farmers, so that they have good production and they do not fall into that debt trap. And the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, as I said, MSMEs have that extended and expanded till March 2023. And open health, yes, in open health, an open platform for healthcare has been focused on in this budget, and that is very important, especially when we all have gone through 3 waves. We are presently in the 3rd wave of COVID, and mental health has become so important. So it is very, very important, and the government should be congratulated for this, that they are thinking of setting up a national mental health program. And this will have NIHIMS of Delhi as the nodal center, looking after this program. So that is very important, especially for the senior citizens and people who have suffered tremendously during this, and the families have suffered tremendously during these 3 waves of COVID. Then for inclusive welfare, the government has the schemes of the PM Awas Yojana, Har Ghar Nal Se Jal Yojana, where the focus and allocations have been of the government and they have been increased. Now, as far as sustainability moves are concerned, the government is thinking of introducing the electric vehicles for public transport, which is a good move, and the battery swapping policy would help in this. Interoperability standards would be laid down. That would be helped, and in the government procurement would be made easy. Suppliers would be paid timely, and so therefore they are having an end-to-end online e-bill system, which would be soon installed and launched for this, and all central ministry would be making the procurements through this system, so that there are no delayed payments. So this will help to take care of the supply side. Defense has been a focus also, and defense is crucial for the safety and security of the citizens as well as of the country and as a whole, and to keep up the good image of India in the global market and global scenario. So the procurement budget has been increased, and the outstanding thing is here that out of that, 68% of the capital procurement budget for the defense sector is earmarked for the domestic industry. So this will be a big booster to the employment for the domestic industry, and the defense sector will have most of the plants and equipments coming in from the domestic market. So that would, help to boost the uh, job opportunities for the youth, and there would be also uh, alignment of the industry, startups, and academia in the defense R&D department. So the government is also thinking of ways of increasing the job opportunities for the youth in the infrastructure, in the logistics, in the building of a digital ecosystem, and also in the defense R&D department. So these are good things which are also part of this budget. And though there are certain missed buses also, which I've already told you, and with the how the budget unfolds and how what would be the effects of this would unfold as time progresses. And so these are my thoughts on the budget.
Thank you, Dr. Priya Solomon, for giving your views and analysis of the budget. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he's Mr. Ritesh Mohan. Mr. Ritesh Mohan is the CEO of www.retailritesh.com, Dubai, UAE. He is a passionate retail professional with over 23 years in the retail sector, handling some of the biggest brands in the beauty, fashion, and fragrances, retail, and FMCG sector in the Middle East region. He is author of the book Simplifying Retail and his upcoming book, How to a Shark Salesman, releasing it shortly. He strongly believes in empowering business owners with his wisdom and experience of around 2 decades in the industry. Welcome, Mr. Ritesh Mohan, our show. Mr. Ritesh Mohan, you have heard Professor Mohan Lal Agarwal as well as Dr. Priya Solomon. They have given their analysis of about the Union Budget 2022. Now we would like to know from you your analysis of Union Budget 2022. Mr. Ritesh Mohan, please.
Good morning, viewers. First of all, thank you, Dr. Goel, as well as Professor Mohan, for inviting me. It was lovely listening to Professor Mohan Agarwal and Dr. Priya. Great insights into the budgets. My topic, or rather, my analysis will be more on a business centric. I will talk about the budget from the business perspective. And if you ask me, my analysis says this budget has been a budget very forward looking, I would call it. The reason I call it forward looking is because it is still showing a physical deficit. There is a capex expenditures which is proposed and in the budget by the finance minister, and it's like putting money into the pocket of the people. Any economy requires expenditure, which from the citizens, from the people. And one of the key sector of any retail is a fast moving consumer goods, FMCG. And with inclusion, Dr. Professor Mohan had mentioned, and even Dr. Pia had mentioned previously regarding inclusion of 150,000 post offices into the banking infrastructure, and include which will give an access of banking facility to a rural population in India. Still, 58% of India lives in rural India, and we are still an agricultural driven economy. You may say yes, manufacturing is again booming, startups are booming, but the core backbone of this budget, if you ask me, is will support two departments. One is supply chain logistics, second is manufacturing. Professor Mohan had mentioned about the unemployment part. Yes, my I tend to disagree a bit on a government responsibility of generating employment. No, the government responsibility, according to me, is to create an infrastructure where the citizen can find the opportunity and create employment for them. So that's what 2 years back when PM Modi came up with Atmanirbhar sort of initiative, this budget takes that initiative forward. Now, how FMCG sector is going to get benefited is, first of all, two parts. One is inclusion of rural population into the banking sector. Second, the government has also put a high MSP rate this time, minimum, they call it minimum support price for the produce, and this will put money into the hands of the rural population, which will in return increase the consumption of FMCG products. And since the budget spends maximum on infrastructure, focusing more on roads, railways has been identified as the core supply chain engine for the country. And so this will definitely help the FMCG sectors and FMCG companies to grow their turnover, volume turnover, and rural growth will add it to their overall corporate growth in terms of volumes and profits. Now comes to the initiative which they have taken, something called PM Gati Shakti initiative, which is creating a unified logistic interface platform into the country, making which ensures how to get an item, how quickly you can get an item, and how easily you can procure an item. So this is all part of supply chain, which is very well addressed in this current budget. And I mean, for any country, if you are having a good infrastructure, good logistics, we all know Professor Mohan had previously spoken about the global supply chain crisis that the world is going through. There has been a container shortages across. There has been, the raw material shortages. The prices of raw materials are going up, which is putting pressure on the retailers as well as the manufacturers to increase their pricing. And what I foresee in coming times, yes, along with the inflation, the prices of your commodity items, your commonly used items, will definitely go up because of the global supply chain crisis. And India is not isolated or insulated from the global crisis the world is going through. This budget, according to me, was one of the big challenge for the would have been a big challenge for the finance minister, because the pandemic is still not over. It is still continuing. As Dr. Priya said, that we are in the third wave, and India has already seen three waves in the past. So uh, making a budget, making your capital expenditures along with the growth projections would have been a great challenge for the finance minister, but it's a task well done. I would congratulate that. And certain initiatives which the government has taken, or rather in her speech she had mentioned, was the agricultural sector. Though our backbone of economy is still agriculture, it has come out as one of the most resilient sector in the entire industry. In fact, there is a growth of 3.6% projected in the financial year in the agricultural sector, which is one of the positive signs of Indian economics recovering post pandemic. The government has created rather has taken part in sustainability initiatives, as Dr. Priya had previously mentioned about electric vehicles, which is to provide a green transport to the citizens. And look at the opportunity for manufacturers, for entrepreneurs. Today the government is giving them the if you are making a battery, or if you are coming up with some OEM, original equipment manufacturers items, you can look at the opportunity. Say in terms of electric vehicles, they can be a service by a fintech or something like that, something like a battery as a service, wherein you can easily swap your batteries from various nodal points like petrol pumps, etc. So this can be a big opportunity. The budget also includes one of the key benefit for the manufacturing sector. The beneficial tax rate has been fixed at 15%, as mentioned by Professor Mohan in his narration earlier. And this will provide a boost to the manufacturing sector. When it comes to fashion genre, the OEM suppliers who supplies, say, buttons for a shirt, who supplies lacing for a fabric, so all these things are been included, and given the boost. So the parts, even electronic sector, if I have to say consumer goods, your mobile cameras manufacturers, the parts, the manufacturer of the small parts are given the motivation, and rather they have been given a boost to boost up their supplies, to boost up their production capacities, and this all will in return will generate an indirect employment for the population. Yes, the Skill India is a very good initiative which was launched 2 years back, and as I previously mentioned, this budget is taking that initiative forward. So it's Atmanirbhar and Skill India. These two initiatives is the way forward for the country. However, there is, as you say, the retail is nothing but is also linked to real estate. The real estate, the housing sector is again taken care by the finance minister under the PM Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and it is estimated that 8 million houses to be delivered or handed over by 2023 in the country. And but what I would have requested, or what I would have been happy to see from the finance minister, some kind of support to the existing customers who are, looking at the uncertainty, their job losses. Should some protection on the EMIs could have been given, but it was a miss. But I'm sure they can definitely look into it for the next fiscal year. And certain sectors which I feel has also neglected or rather ignored was basically aviation and hospitality. These two sectors have been hit the most during the pandemic. As we knew, the flights were all international or domestic across the world came to a halt. Hotels again lost a lot of business. So this sector should have been given some sort of a tax rollouts or something beneficial for these two sectors. But again, it was missed, or rather, I would say ignored. There has been the money, the boost of this budget has been given to the startup in India. We all know Delhi. Just last month, I came across this news saying that Delhi has overtaken the Bangalore city as the startup capital of the country, and there has been in last 1 year 44 unicorns in a year, which has been which is a history in itself. So the startup culture, the startup ecosystem in India is third in the world after US, China. India is number ranking now number 3 when it comes to the startup ecosystem. More with this budget, more the subsidies, or I would call the protection has been given to the startup to give them a boost. Various encouragement has been given to fintechs to come up and revolutionize the finance technology startup sector. So overall, if you look at it, if I have to summarize this budget looks a balance to me. It has a capital capex expenditure, which is rather putting the money into the people's hand, which again bringing the money into the economy and helping the FMCG, helping the retail sector to generate demand. So this budget and infrastructure is the backbone of any country or backbone for any business, and that's how which has been again which was neglected all these years. But I'm glad infrastructure has been brought into the limelight, and supply chain infrastructure expenditure will definitely make Indian economy robust. The advantages, or it will not be visible in next 11 months or 12 months, but this budget is laying down the foundation to build or to take India to a centenary or a century, which is 100 years. So as Dr. Priya had mentioned, it's a leap that we have to now take from 75th year to 100 year. So this budget is rather setting the or laying down the foundation to achieve that goal. So this was my analysis, and I
Okay,
sum up, Dr.
okay.
Goel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ritesh Mohan, for giving your analysis. Now, my question goes to Professor Mohanlal Agrawal. Professor Agrawal, do you agree India's economy recovery is in K-shape, and this budget has not done anything to change that recovery position? Because if it is in K-shape and this budget is only favoring the big corporates, it is anti-middle or lower class people. What are your comments on that?
First of all, I will not characterize the budget the way you have. That is, it is anti people or anti middle class, or it is not. It is favoring the people in big money. Just now, minutes ago, rather, Ritesh mentioned the meaning of startups, meaning of the rural people and middle class. So I think that shows that it is not what you are describing it as. What I would say, however, is that any recovery of any government in any economy depends upon investment in the infrastructure. And I think that particular part is very, strongly reinforced by both Ritesh and Priya, that this will provide the kind of recovery that you need, the kind of enablement that you need. I also tend to agree with Ritesh when he says that it is not the responsibility, although it may be to some extent a mission, but it may not be the responsibility of the government to generate employment. It has to, responsibility is to create the right atmosphere, the right environment in which people can do what they want to do, whether employment or entrepreneurship or a startup or anything that they want. So I don't think there is any issue about that. As far as the succour to the lower end people are concerned, Manrega, has been increased a lot.
I think, Dr. Agrawal, Manrega is reduced.
No, it has not. It has reduced, but it is increased over the pre-COVID period.
No, we are not talking of this budget is basically once
you are talking about K-shape, right?
When you have revised, I just a moment. When you have revised the budget during the fiscal year, then the revised estimate of the Manrega and this one was reduced by 25% of Manrega. So Manrega is reduced as far as the what you have mentioned. Yes, please go ahead.
So the thing is this, that you have X amount of money without raising the taxes on the people. You have X amount of money without increasing the burden on the economy. And you also have a responsibility to use that money in a very, very efficient and effective manner. And that is the responsibility of the government. Just because government has been given something to some scheme, it is not duty bound to increase it every year just to show its commitment to those people. It is almost like the point that we have been talking about SCs and STs in India. That how come that SCs and STs, dependents and benefits, they haven't gone down even after 75 years of this thing, which means that there is some other mission around that rather than to remove that particular thing fundamentally. Okay. So I do not agree with that, as I said, characterization.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Dr. Agrawal. Now my question goes to Ms. Priya, Dr. Priya. Dr. Priya, if I will put to you that this budget is anti-farmer, and I will say no MSP, which was promised at the time when this 3 farmers bills were taken back, and when our Honorable Prime Minister apologized to the country and that we will fulfill all the things, everyone was expecting in this budget that they will come out and they will mention about the MSPs, which is a guaranteed MSP, which they have not done. They have not given any relaxation of GST on insecticides, pesticides, fertilizer, tractor. So in other words, if I will put to you that this budget is anti-farmer, what you'd like to say? And I will make a caveat here. my work is I'm acting as a devil's advocate. If I have to say, okay, no, everything is fine, then what is the use of analyzing the budget? But this is the views experts have mentioned, which as the Professor Agarwal has mentioned for last 4 days, they are talking on the television and newspapers. So basically, what is your view, whether it is an anti-farmer or not, Dr. Priya Solomon?
I will not say that, the government has not looked into the problems of the farmers, or it is not aware of the problems of the farmers. It is, very much aware of what is going on, and in terms of the agitations and the pleas filed by the farmers and the farmer leaders, and whatever has been coming in and has been in news. Everybody knows, right? And the government also, is you can say in a way handcuffed by the heavy capital expenditure it is focusing on for the PM Gati Shakti. It is looking at that problem and trying to solve the problem through the infrastructure route, right? So this is what I was talking of, the loan waivers. So they are not looking, they are also talking in terms of, loan waivers are mostly seen when the elections are near, or
No, but Dr. Solomon, excuse me, it's not the question of loan waiver. There is a question of fixed guaranteed MSP, which they have promised, and the committee was to be formed and start. And because this budget, if there is no allocation for MSP this time, then it means this year it is not going to take place. So that's why they says that it's an anti-farmer budget, and farmers are now is already given a notice that they are going to start the agitation again, because they have not, the government backed out in their promise of fulfilling the guaranteed MSP. So that is why I'm just mentioning, because there is no mention in the, as far as MSP is concerned, in this budget.
No, the only mention they have made in the budget is that of 2.37 lakh crore worth of direct payment under this scheme of minimum support price to be given to farmers.
No, that is MSP is fine. That is already existing, but not the guaranteed MSP. That is not there.
That is what I'm saying. The government is a bit handcuffed by its own, on its own, view of the capital expenditure, figures going up by a huge percentage as a result of their focus being on the PM Gati Shakti program, master plan, and they focus on long-term growth, and they are looking at the looking at the problem of the farmers in a way of easing the infrastructure bottlenecks.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And
okay.
they therefore have also extended some exemption on implements, tools and equipments which are used for agriculture, which will be manufactured in India only, right?
Okay.
They're domestically procured.
Okay.
So in a way, they are helping them in their inputs.
Okay.
And therefore,
Okay.
they also have the scheme of Kisan loans. So that they are not giving them the guaranteed, hike in the guaranteed.
But that was the one of the main demand which has not been taken. So then, in case if it will be taken during the financial year, definitely the budget allocations will go haywire. Anyway, thank you very much, Dr.
They've gone back foot on this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Priya Solomon. Now my question goes to Mr. Ritesh Mohan. Mr. Ritesh Mohan, everyone is talking about capex. Have you checked how much capex utilization they have done of 2021, 2022, the last year? Whether they have exceeded or whether they have reached what target they have put in the last year capex? They have not. So what is the use of increasing the capex and showing the futuristic thing that we are going to do this when they could not achieve, the government could not achieve the last year, and to say that because of the COVID, as Dr. Priya also mentioned, you also mentioned, COVID is still on. We don't know when the fourth wave will come, fifth wave will come. So we cannot consider that this year there will be no COVID. No one can predict today. So my point is, by only saying about making it a very high point that the capex has been increased, but when we could not utilize the last year allocated capex, how we will think that this year we are going to increase the capex by 35%? What is your view about this, Mr. Ritesh Mohan?
It has been noticed, Dr. Goyal, from the beginning, from soon after independence, when the budget was started being presented, the budget has been always into the fiscal deficit. I mean, when it comes to and the capital on the paper, yes, the policies and the the rollouts looks amazing, but what we lack as a country is the execution part of it. As you rightly said, yes, they have not utilized, I think so around 80% is what somewhere I had read it in one of the economic papers, that they have used the previous year. And it can be, I mean, I would like to give the benefit of doubt to the government. Yes, the we pandemic is here to stay. We all need to survive along with it and live with it. So going forward, I believe what India requires, or was India was lacking, was the infrastructure to execute these policies. Do we have all this of 75 years? Sorry to say, the post office inclusion of 150,000, we already created that infrastructure way 50 years back. Why was it not taken or included into the banking
Mr.
policies?
Ritesh Mohan, I will just stop you here. Today, the present government is selling all the assets. They are even doing this, selling the banks. So now the next target is post office. Once they will be linked with the banks, it will be also sold out. So it is nothing a great thing. Rather, it's a pre-planned thing of the government to sell those post office which were custodian of the wealth or the whatsoever the earnings, small earnings of the rural area. So once it will be also sold out, then the condition will not as gloomy as we are seeing. Thank you very much, Mr. Ritesh. Now my question goes to
Sure.
Professor Agrawal. Professor Agrawal, are you there? Yes.
Listening also.
Professor Agrawal, we were talking about the job creation. This budget is a futuristic budget. No doubt about it. So many things have been told, but it will take time. You cannot have that solution. Now, you have mentioned that the jobs in India, it should be given to the deserving candidate. I will give you an example. Recently, there was an exam of railways, about 3 or 4 lakhs vacancies. 1.25 crore people applied. If the government thinks that out of 1.25 crore, more than 1 crore are not suitable, not employable, then I think there is something very big mistake on our part. It means that the government is not having the jobs, and they are not planned even in this budget. If we say that capex we will increase, infrastructure, how much time it will take? What is the and we have seen the agitations has already started in Bihar and the eastern part of UP. The youth are frustrated after this pandemic. No doubt about it. The pandemic is global, but the condition is job employment is everywhere, whether it is a private organizations or the government organizations. Don't you think in this budget, the finance minister would have taken some steps to create the jobs, instead of giving something which is futuristic, which may take time, which will take time, but and create some jobs, but not the immediate thing. Right now, the condition is the patient is in emergency. People want some emergency measures, which this budget missed. What is your opinion, Professor Agrawal?
As usual, you have put it in a very, very nice way, and I want to thank you for that. First of all, let me clarify. I didn't say what you said. I said that there is a mismatch between the job requirements and the candidate profile. This is what I said. I did not say that the job should be given to the deserving people. I said everybody should recruit and do recruit based on, for instance, if I go as a PhD and of this kind of experience to a college and say, hey, please, I'm out of job, give me a lecturer's job, and they refuse, then I think who should I blame? Myself or the college? Because I am not looking for the job matching my profile, or they are not getting the person of the profile of the job. So that is the thing I am saying. Now, regarding railways or banks, you and I are both wise enough and experienced enough to know that government jobs are always in a high demand for the reasons that you know and I know. The very fact that so many people are applying for a cleaner's job or any other, low-level job, and instead of creating job opportunities for themselves and others, shows the point I was making, employability. Shows that I was taking that people are graduated, but they were graduated from the world of education to the world of positive contribution to the society. That is now, as far as agitations are concerned, of course, agitations will always be there because that is a part of the democratic system. But government always has a choice to feed a hungry person with a fish or to teach them how to catch a fish and provide them the opportunities to catch the fish. If you will feed them the fish, every time someone will be hungry at some point. But if you teach them how to fish, probably not only that person, but many more will also not go hungry when they go to bed.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Agrawal, you have mentioned about the catching the fish or even providing the fish. Now my question goes to Dr. Priya Solomon. Dr. Solomon, middle class, salaried class, everybody knows this pandemic was very bad for everyone. And this budget has not given any relaxations to the middle class. Rather, it is anti-middle class, I must say. People were expecting, and it was a genuine expectation, that the income tax exemption limit will increase. Some medical benefit ATD has to increase. ATCC will increase, so that at least some who are salaried or who are a small trader will get some relief. It has not come. Don't you think this budget is only favoring the big corporates because they have reduced even the surcharge of the corporate tax? They have extended the corporate tax, concessional corporate tax for 1 year for startups and the new businesses, but they have not given any relaxation to the middle class, and India is full of middle class. We are not talking of the lower class. That is always considered that they are not nowhere now existing. Even the middle class, if you are not talking, if you are not taking any consideration, if you are just showing a lollipop that we will be creating highways, it will take this, it will not serve the purpose. The budget, everybody is looking for getting some relief, and especially in this pandemic time. What you say is for this, Dr. Solomon?
Very true, very true. The expectations of the salaried and the middle income, which is the largest chunk of our Indian populace, has been ignored, and we are a bit disappointed. But disappointed in terms of not only the tax slabs not getting revised or the standard deduction not getting upward revision. We also feel that middle income salaried people were expecting it, that at least some control over the inflationary rise in prices, maybe some capping of some sort of price rise could have been there in terms of the essential drugs and essential commodities, but that also has been not done. And if you look at the lower middle, the kerosene subsidies have been withdrawn, and there has been no control over the prices of petrol also. One of the petrol prices are on the hike also, and that is a mode of energy source for transportation of most of us, the salaried people. So now it is disappointing because the focus has been, as I said, again I reiterate that it has been on the supply side and not on the demand side, not on the income. They have not been given any they have not given any push to the incomes of the salaried people. No income saving or income boosters have been given here.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Solomon. Now my question goes to Mr. Ritesh Mohan. Mr. Ritesh Mohan, you are in retail business. Today, the Indian condition, because you are not in India, you are in UAE, but in India, the rates of everything is too high. Inflation is there. As Dr. Solomon mentioned about the petroleum product, it is too high here. Even the vegetables, fruits, the basic needs of everyone is too high. And this budget is not talking about that. They are talking in the future. So my question to you is, do you think this is a futuristic budget? Kal aisa hoga, we are going to do this. Not today. We used to have a 5-year plan, Panchvarshiya Yojana earlier, which was scrapped by this government. Okay. Now they are making a 25 years of a plan, that is Amrit Kal. So earlier, at least 5 years, we know that roadmap. Now you are talking of 25 years. I am not going to survive 25 years. I want to see the results, and annual budget means that this year only we have to see what is going to be benefited to us or not. So my question to you is this budget is a futuristic budget? It might be very good budget, but futuristic, not for this present time. Mr. Ritesh Mohan, please.
Dr. Goel, my answer would be this budget lays down the foundation for the futuristic future that we all will see. So, having said so, I mean, if you look at the current foreign exchange that goes out of the country, I think 30% is on fuel, the petrol that is all imported within the country. Hence, this budget talks about something called green transportation or a green energy. So, the government is the motive or the intention of the government is very clear to reduce the foreign exchange outgo, which goes in terms of buying the petrol from other countries, to something which is much greener, something which is battery, electric driven transportation. So, I mean, the intention is right. Yes, it will take time. Nobody has the magic wand in our hand.
Then Mr. Ritesh, want to say it has 7 or 8. If you don't have a magic wand and you have taken out the entire amount from the RBI for last 2-3 years, you have taken all the things which are there in the kitty of any department, PSUs, you are selling, you have, then what is the use? But if you are saying it's a futuristic budget, people of India wants to see the budget of a physical year. Then you should say that this budget is for Amrit Kal. It has nothing to do with this year, and we will not give any budget for next 25 years. This budget is a roadmap. And you mentioned about the green energy. Green energy is there, going to be there in the world, because already the Prime Minister has mentioned in the Glasgow summit that how much carbon emission they have to reduce by 2030. But still, what point you have made is that yes, the government is trying to create the green energy to see to it that the foreign exchange should go less. So that's why your point. Thank you very much. Now my last round, Dr. Professor Mohanlal Agarwal, if you have to be on the shoes of finance minister, what one thing you would like to put in the budget so that the budget would be realistic, more lucrative for the lower middle class or lower class of the sector, which is more than the higher class or the rich, so much rich class of the in India. Professor,
the way you put it in context, it is very, very difficult to answer that question, because you want me either to say to what you are saying yes or something. So no, that is not what I said earlier, or other panelists also are telling you, that you do not have to characterize it in order to get the answer.
I am just asking you. No, I'm not characterizing. I am telling you that whatsoever the feelings in the country, and if no, Dr. Professor,
you are a media host here.
Yeah, of course.
But
I'm also Indian. I'm also a resident. I'm also a citizen, and I know the things what is there. I do not want to give a wrong picture, and I do not want to act as a Godi media, that whatsoever the government is saying, I will accept it. I have to give the clear picture. I'm asking you difficult questions because I want you to. No, it's not biased question. You can say biased question. It's not biased question, because if you would have given a negative point, I would have asked the positive point of the thing. I would have shown the positive aspect also. Okay, so no. So you anyway. Thank you very much, because now my time is over. So I will. I'm sorry, we will not.
The only thing that I will answer.
No, it's okay, Professor Agarwal. So viewers, you have seen today, this budget, government has tried, their intentions are very good. No doubt about it. All our panelists have mentioned the intentions are very good. Timing, yes, it is not correctly timed, because this is a time when the country has faced 2 years of pandemic, and the people are suffering. The businessmen are suffering. The service class is suffering. that timing is mismatched. I think from my side, I can very well say that the Honorable Finance Minister, although they tried their best to create green energy, to create more and more infrastructure, they missed out few things which they would have done it. At least the middle class or the lower middle class or the poor class of the country would have got more benefit. But yes, it's a futuristic budget. The day will come when we will be able to reap the fruits. How much time, that we have to see. But anyway, it's a good analysis. Decision is on for the viewers. We have analyzed, we have asked the questions. Although I was alleged by Professor Agrawal that I am biased, I am not biased. I always ask the question, if anybody is giving positive aspect, I will go for negative. If you would have given negative aspect, I would have given the positive aspect. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Caru News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor to bring to you everyday new topic. And tomorrow again, we are talking on the union budget only in media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. But tomorrow program will be in Hindi, and the topic is Union Budget 2022 impact on elections. I am sure no media house has taken this topic. It's a Union Budget 2022 impact on elections, and my panelists are Professor R.K. Arya, Professor International Economics, Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, Deemed University, Faizabad. He appeared last time with courtesy Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal only. And then the next panelist is CA Shyam Sundar Mangla, Senior Partner, Shyam Sundar Mangla and Company, LLP, Chartered Accountants, Faridabad. Mr. Nirmalendu Verma, a social activist and spokesperson, Bihar Pradesh Congress Committee, Patna. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Professor Mohanlal Agrawal. Thank you very much, Dr. Priya Solomon. And thank you very much, Mr. Ritesh Mohan, for giving enlightening the pupil. And thank you all the viewers for watching our show. I'm sure today's program is quite enlightening. Analysis, what experts have given. Questions I have asked. Decisions is with you, how you take the budget. Thank you very much.